What can I say? Gaming phones have come a long way since they first started coming out a few years ago, not just because there's more gaming phones and that's more competition, but also just because regular flagship phones now have insane hardware too. But still at the top of the heap for gaming phones sits this guy, the Asus ROG Phone 7 Ultimate. Let's just start with just the numbers, okay? Numbers on paper. Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 at 3.2 gigahertz with the Adreno 740 GPU, 16 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM, half a terabyte of UFS 4.0 storage, a 6.78-inch 1080p AMOLED display at 165 Hz, up to 1200 nits, a 6,000 milliamp hour battery with 65 watt charging, and 2 USB-C ports, plus the headphone jack. Kind of sounds like it has everything, because it nearly does, but I actually do want to start with the one thing that it doesn't have, which is a world-class camera system. But the thing is, I mean, that's probably fine. It is a gaming phone after all. Now, obviously, it's still expensive, so you don't want to feel like you're getting a bad camera, but let's be real, the camera is not the priority in these phones or for the people buying these phones. So, I mean, really the objective is to give you a good enough camera system that you're not mad, but it's not going to be a good enough camera that you're out bragging about it. So this is a 50 megapixel primary camera that bends to 12.5 megapixels and can do that lossless 2x zoom. And then there is a 13 megapixel ultra wide, and that third camera is a 5 megapixel macro, so not a telephoto. It's all fine, right? It's a pretty classic, like daylight shots, decent lighting is fine, and then as soon as the lighting conditions deteriorate, so do the photos and videos. You get a lot of noise pretty quickly. I still got to give props to Asus for doing a pretty great job with HDR though, and getting a good amount of detail out of most normal shots. And they've actually even added some pretty clever features to their default camera app. I know you don't think of Asus phones usually as like the best cameras ever, but there's the pro photo and video modes that are getting you a few new features to play with that are just like fun to use. So combined with the 32 megapixel selfie camera, I feel like I can confidently give this whole camera suite like a B. It's definitely not bad, it's not why you buy this phone. I mean, if you're looking for the reason you buy this phone, look no further than the design, because that says everything you need to know. This is the phantom white finish on the back here still. This year it's a combination of satin white and I guess a different satin white, maybe matte white, but it still has the text everywhere, ROG, 07, Republic of Gamers, 206, 8K Ultra HD. The Ultimate version still has this display on the back, which you can't even see while you're using the phone, but it will display to the people around you, either an animation or some information in a scrolling banner, or when it's face down and charging, you can see your percentage, things like that. You can't have too big of a camera up, like you have these gigantic camera rings now in a lot of these flagship phones. You can't do that on this phone because it's supposed to be perfectly balanced for when you're gaming and holding it in landscape mode. And so that's why you have that split battery design, 3,000 milliamp hours over here, 3,000 more milliamp hours over here. And actually the motherboard is in the middle, which is a pretty clever design. And so now it's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Now, like I said, gaming phone, right? So we have these awesome flagship phones, S23 Ultra, Oppo Find X6 Pro. They also have incredible numbers and specs, but this one separates itself by leaning a little bit more towards gaming and media and that experience. Not that those aren't good at gaming and media, but, well, gaming is media. So the things that this does to be good at gaming are great at that and watching videos and just sort of scrolling around using a phone like normal. So that's why you end up with not just 120 Hz LTPO, but a Samsung-built flat 165 Hz OLED with a 720 Hz touch sample rate and a 23 millisecond touch latency. It's once again the most responsive and smoothest display I've ever used in a phone. My eye can actually tell the difference between this and a 120 Hz display in a lot of the other flagships out right now, which is awesome. So that's of course going to be great for gaming, getting every single last frame out of the games that actually support that, but also that's pretty nice for just scrolling around and flipping through apps and social media too. The split battery setup they've got going on, they've been doing that for a couple of years too. 3,000 plus 3,000 is a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. and that actually allows them to fast charge them in parallel, so you get 65 watts going into the phone. It'll charge from 0 to 100 in like 45 minutes, which is already 10 minutes faster than last year's phone. And they even have this graphic that they sent me showing the standard batteries need a thin separator, while fast charging batteries need a thicker separator because they push more current and it's just safer to do it this way. Sounds like this would be a trade-off that you have to think really hard about in any other phone. Except it doesn't matter in this phone because the whole phone is thick. It's thick enough to handle a gigantic battery and fast charging. I mean, that's at least 3 Cs, you know? Plus, there's a whole suite of battery management features that make this thing last forever. I mean, it's already a battery champ, easily pulling 7 hours of screen on time at 165 hertz. But there's also scheduled charging. There's also study charging, so it doesn't fast charge every time you plug it in if you don't want it to. There's also custom charging limits. There's also pass-through charging. There is no wireless charging, but there are 2 USB-C ports, as I mentioned, one on the bottom and one on the side. No, it doesn't charge twice as fast if you plug in both at the same time. I tried. That's still the Legion Phone Dual's little trick. But interestingly, the side USB port is actually considered the primary one. That's the faster USB 3.1 data speeds. So either way, if you plug in, you can get the fast charging, but if you want to plug in any accessories or anything like that, that will go into that side port here. But speaking of accessories, this is probably all you need to know about how ridiculous this phone is and who it's targeted for. So this is the AeroActive Cooler 7. So this is a clip-on, plug-in active cooling accessory that you plug into and connect to the back of the phone that has a heatsink, fan, RGB lights inside, and this little this black tab on the side of this ROG phone is actually an opening. It motorizes and opens up. So you clamp on this cooler over the side of the phone just like this, plug it in via the USB on the side, and the fan starts spinning up, and then this black like lift gate over here on the side of the phone opens up to allow active airflow through the side of the phone. It's opening up the phone and spinning in that cool air. So when you're gaming, this will help bring down the back cover surface by as much as 20 to 25 degrees Celsius according to Asus Labs. But there's also there's 4 trigger buttons back here. There's RGB lights that change and breathe depending on what you're doing. And there's a whole subwoofer for enhanced bass, and it actually works. There is a genuine improvement in the sound quality when listening to it with the subwoofer on the back of the phone and the front-facing speakers combined. You never expect these things to be as good as they are, but just the whole thing, just this whole dedication to building something that is going to take a few degrees off your phone and give you a couple extra frames, their dedication to that gamer is impressive. It literally opens up the back of the phone. And by the way, you can take this off and it closes that port on the back, and it's still IP54 water resistant when it's closed. This phone feels like a sports car where a lot of the ridiculous specialized tech is completely unnecessary to most people, but it'll eventually trickle down into everyday cars. Like most regular cars / phones don't need this crazy moving part and active aerodynamics. They don't need extra RAM and extra power, but eventually regular flagship phones in a few years will have all of this power and all of this cooling and all the capabilities of this phone. They'll just be normal phones. So make sure you subscribe to see the reviews of those phones when they come out. But for now, this is still going to separate itself as a phone for the gamer, especially just because of the way it's built. Obviously, it's thicker than a normal phone, but they still have things like bezels on the front for your thumbs and the front-facing speakers, so you can hold it like this and have a place when you're gaming to rest your fingers. That's something most phones aren't going to do anymore. The extra port, of course, and the compatibility with the crazy accessories, and just their willingness to just use like basic off-the-shelf parts for the things that don't really matter so much. Like, sure, this optical fingerprint reader, it's fine. It's totally normal. The cameras as well, like I said, you don't get a telephoto camera, you just get like an off-the-shelf B+B camera system, fine. But when it comes to anything that a gamer could possibly want to get that last 1 or 2 FPS, to get that last second off of your lap time, or that last kill, or to be able to have that little bit of an advantage, they'll throw the kitchen sink at it. They'll do all the software features in the world and hardware stuff to make that happen. And I respect that. There's no way I could go through all of those things in this single video, but I respect that a lot. Here are some of my personal favorites. There is a new vapor chamber cooling system inside of this phone that you'll never see, but the new Y-shaped wick columns with larger radii give a 168% improvement to thermal efficiency, according to Asus's testing. The custom mappable air triggers built into the top corners of this phone have been improved for better sensitivity, and they can be custom mapped for all kinds of stuff even outside of games. And this phone has Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7 support, even though none of our routers really do yet. This is a really impressive, purpose-built machine through and through. I'm glad they made it, and yeah, gaming phones of today walk so that flagships of tomorrow can run. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.